Let me start out by saying happy birthday to the United States Army. Spent a fair amount of time in my life in uniform in the Army, and it's a defining thing in anybody's life that has spent time in uniform, and it's been a wonderful institution for many, many Americans over a long period of time. Also want to thank the chairman for the work on this bill. I know that while we're debating it here today, and we're going to vote later today, that the work tomorrow for next year's bill will start tomorrow. And so I thank him for his hard work. Mr. Chairman, this amendment is pretty straightforward. It just requires the Secretary of Defense to report on the use of taxpayer-funded union time by DOD employees. We're not saying it's bad. We're not saying it's good. We're not saying it's too much, it's too little. We just want to know what it is. We just want to know. For those who may be unfamiliar, Congress granted certain employees the ability to perform certain tasks for labor unions while on duty. And to be clear, that means that these employees are being paid by our constituents to work for union activities instead of doing the job that they were hired to perform. I think maybe it'd be fine if we said in the job description, your job is to do organized labor activities, but that's not what's in the job description. The job description is what's needed for the country, for the Department of Defense, but instead of doing that work, you're doing other work. And unacceptably, the statistics on the use of official time are very few and far between. Take a GAO report from January of 2017, so we're a few years beyond that now, which is telling in itself, but according to the data from the Department of Veterans Affairs, 346 employees spent 100% of their time on official union activities instead of taking care of our nation's veterans. Now, the Trump administration took some steps to improve transparency, including actually reporting the use and the cost of official time by agencies. A VA press release dated November 8th of 2018 cites a particularly egregious example. A VA registered nurse who was elected as a local union official spent 100% of her time doing organized labor activities. That might be fine if the job description was organized labor activities, but the job description is registered nurse. So how much time taking care of veterans as a nurse was this person spending? Well, zero. That's how much time. To use examples from the Department of Defense, the most recent available data, or estimates of the data, from the Trump administration's final report was that 3,235 DOD employees used official time in FY19 for a total of 526,990 hours at a cost of millions upon tens of millions of dollars, not to mention the equipment. Folks, we're here debating the National Defense Authorization Act. National Defense Authorization Act. And there are very serious threats around the world. While we stand here, while we sit here, while we watch, the Russians are moving a fleet into Cuba, about 100 miles off the coast of the United States of America. And I don't know about you, but for me, I want every DOD employee focused on keeping America safe. And all we're asking for, all this amendment asks for, is a report so that we don't go blindly searching around to try and figure out how best to do that. If we have the information, we can make decisions. We don't have the information. This amendment says, give us the information, track the information so we can make decisions. With that, Mr. Chairman, I will reserve.